Chen's hands trembled as he stared at the hospital report on his phone. His mother had collapsed. Heart attack. Stable now, but the doctors weren't optimistic about her prognosis without proper care. He stood in his Manhattan penthouse, surrounded by floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a city that had made him $8 billion, and felt utterly alone. 15 years. That's how long it had been since he'd seen most of his family. 15 years since he'd left Millbrook with $500 and a dream that everyone called foolish. His uncle Richard had laughed in his face. Silicon Valley? You'll be back in 6 months, begging for your old job at the grocery store. But Marcus hadn't come back. He'd built Chen Technologies from nothing, revolutionized mobile app development, and became one of the youngest billionaires in America. Yet standing there, looking at his mother's medical report, none of it seemed to matter. His therapist's words echoed in his mind. Marcus, you can't run from your past forever. Money won't fill that void. He made a decision that would change everything. 3 days later, Marcus walked into a Goodwill store in New Jersey, far from anyone who might recognize him. He bought worn jeans, faded t-shirts, and a jacket with a broken zipper. At a used car lot, he paid cash for a 2008 Honda Civic with a dented bumper and nearly 200,000 miles on it. The salesman looked confused when Marcus handed him $3,500 bills. You sure about this one, buddy? I got better cars on the lot. This one's perfect, Marcus said. In a storage unit, he locked away his Rolex, his custom suits, everything that screamed wealth. He looked at himself in the mirror. The man staring back looked tired, ordinary, broke. Perfect. But this wasn't just about seeing his mother. Marcus had a bigger plan. He'd watched too many families destroyed by inheritance fights, too many relationships poisoned by money. Before he decided what to do with his fortune, before he made any plans for his family's future, he needed to know who they really were. The 12-hour drive to Millbrook gave him plenty of time to rehearse his story. Lost everything in bad cryptocurrency investments. Living paycheck to paycheck as a warehouse worker in California. Barely scraping by. He practiced the lie until it felt almost true. When he pulled up to his childhood home, his heart nearly stopped. The house looked smaller than he remembered, more worn down. The porch steps sagged. Paint peeled from the shutters. His mother's garden, once her pride and joy, had withered to nothing. Chen opened the door, and Marcus watched her face cycle through confusion, recognition, and overwhelming joy in seconds. Marcus? Marcus. Mi hijo. She pulled him into her arms, and he felt her bones through her thin sweater. When had she gotten so frail? Hi, Mom, he whispered, fighting back tears. She pulled back, studying his face, then his clothes. Her smile faltered. What happened to you? You look so thin. And these clothes. Can we talk inside? In the small kitchen where he'd eaten breakfast for 18 years, Marcus delivered his rehearsed lies. The words tasted like poison, but he forced them out. Bad investments. Lost everything. Working in a warehouse now. Barely making rent. Rosa's eyes filled with tears. Why didn't you call? Why didn't you tell me? I was ashamed, Mom. I didn't want you to know I'd failed. She grabbed his hands. You could never fail in my eyes. You're here now. That's what matters. The front door burst open. Ma, I brought the groceries you. Chen froze in the doorway, paper bags in his arms. Marcus. Marcus stood. His younger brother had aged well, though his mechanic's uniform was stained with grease and his hands were calloused from hard work. Hey, James. The bags hit the floor. James crossed the room in 3 strides and pulled Marcus into a crushing hug. 15 years, man. 15 years, and not even a phone call. I know. I'm sorry. James pulled back, looking him over. What's with the get-up? You look like you've been sleeping under a bridge. Rosa interjected, her voice catching. He's had some hard times, James. Lost his money. Marcus watched his brother's face carefully. This was the first real test. James's expression shifted from confusion to understanding to something that made Marcus's chest tight. Compassion. Man, that's rough, James said. But you're home now. That's what counts. He turned to Rosa. Ma, he's staying in my spare room. I won't hear any arguments. James, you don't have to. You're my brother. Family helps family. No questions asked. No payback expected. That's how we do things. Marcus felt something crack inside his chest. One test passed, but there were more family members to meet, and he knew they wouldn't all react like James. That evening, James insisted on having a small family gathering. Just immediate family, he promised. We'll ease you back in. But in Millbrook, immediate family meant a dozen people crammed into James's modest living room. Marcus sat on a worn couch, acutely aware of every eye on him. His sister Linda arrived with her 2 kids, struggling through the door with grocery bags. She was thinner than he remembered, with tired eyes and hands that never stopped moving. A single mother working 2 jobs, James had whispered. Marcus. She set down the bags and stared. Oh my God, it really is you. She hugged him carefully, as if afraid he might break. James told me you've been having troubles. I brought some extra food. For you. For Mom. She pressed something into his palm. When he looked down, he saw 2 folded $100 bills. Linda, I can't. Shush. I know you're too proud to ask, but family takes care of family. The kid's father hasn't sent child support in 3 months anyway. We make do. Marcus stared at the money. She had so little, and she was giving it to him. The weight of his deception grew heavier. The front door slammed open with enough force to rattle the pictures on the walls. Uncle Richard filled the doorway, his retired cop's posture rigid with authority. His eyes swept the room and landed on Marcus like a targeting laser. So it's true. The prodigal son returns. His voice dripped with contempt. 15 years of silence, and now you show up looking like a homeless person on your mother's doorstep. Richard, please, Rosa said quietly. Please what, Rosa? We should throw a party because your son finally remembered where he came from? After he abandoned you? After he was too good for this family? Richard crossed the room, standing over Marcus. Let me guess. California didn't work out. The big dreams turned into big failures. And now you're back to mooch off your sick mother. Marcus felt his jaw clench, but he forced himself to stay calm. I'm not here to mooch. I'm here to see my family. You're here because you need something. You always were selfish. Richard turned to Rosa. How much has he asked you for? He hasn't asked for anything, James interjected, stepping between them. Back off, Uncle Richard. Stay out of this, James. You're too soft. Always have been. Richard pointed at Marcus. I give you 1 week. 1 week to see your mother, then you leave. This family doesn't need your failure dragging us down. We have enough problems without adding a deadbeat to the mix. The room fell silent. Marcus watched his mother's face crumple, watched Linda look away in discomfort, watched James's hands ball into fists. Get out, James said quietly. Excuse me. I said get out. This is my house. Marcus is my guest. If you can't show respect, leave. Richard's face turned red, but he stomped toward the door. Before leaving, he turned back. Mark my words. He'll disappoint you all, just like he disappointed us 15 years ago. The door slammed. In the silence that followed, Marcus heard his mother crying softly. I should go, Marcus said. I don't want to cause problems. No. Linda's voice was firm. You stay? Richard's always been a bully. Don't let him run you off. The evening continued awkwardly. Marcus met Linda's kids, watched them play with toys that were clearly secondhand, noticed how Linda rationed the food she'd brought, making sure everyone else ate before taking a small portion for herself. Around 8, another visitor arrived. Chen bounced into the room with the energy of a man running on caffeine and desperation. Marcus's cousin had always been a schemer, and apparently 15 years hadn't changed that. Marcus, dude, I heard you were back. Tyler's hug was performative, loud. Man, look at you. James said you hit some hard times. Something like that. Tyler's eyes gleamed. Hey, actually, this is perfect timing. Perfect. Can we talk outside for a minute? Business opportunity. Marcus followed him to the porch, already knowing where this was going. Look, man, I know things are tough right now, Tyler said, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. But I've got something that could turn your life around. Ground floor opportunity. Wellness supplements. The company's about to explode. Tyler, I don't have any money to invest. That's the beauty of it. You don't need much. Just your last $5,000 or so to get started, and then you recruit other people, and they recruit people, and boom. Passive income. I'm making like $3,000 a month already. Marcus looked at his cousin's expensive sneakers, his designer watch, the new BMW parked in the driveway. All of it bought on credit, no doubt, to maintain the illusion of success. If you're making so much money, why do you need me? Tyler's smile didn't waver. Because I believe in helping family. And because I see potential in you, man. You're smart. You're motivated. You're desperate. That's the perfect combination for success in this business. I need to think about it. Tyler's friendliness evaporated for just a second. Look, Marcus. Losers make excuses. Winners take action. You can either stay broke, working your warehouse job, scraping by, or you can grab this opportunity and change your life. What's it gonna be? I said I'll think about it. Fine. But opportunities like this don't wait forever. Tyler slapped him on the shoulder just a bit too hard. Think fast, cousin. As Tyler drove away in his borrowed success, Marcus felt sick. His own cousin saw him as nothing more than a desperate mark, someone to exploit for pyramid scheme profits. He went back inside to find James putting his kids to bed and Linda cleaning up. Rosa had already gone to sleep, exhausted from the excitement. Tyler tried to sell you on his supplement scam? Linda asked, scrubbing a dish. How did you know? He's tried it on everyone in the family. Mom, me James. Even tried to recruit my 20-year-old son, Danny. She shook her head. That boy used to be so sweet. I don't know what happened to him. Marcus helped her dry dishes, and they fell into an easy rhythm. Tell me about Danny. Linda's face softened and tightened at the same time. He's a good kid. Great kid. But he dropped out of college last year. Says he wants to be a musician. The whole family thinks he's throwing his life away. Richard calls him a failure every chance he gets. What do you think? She was quiet for a long moment. I think he's scared but brave. I think he's following his heart. And I think this family is too quick to judge people who don't follow the traditional path. She looked at Marcus. Kind of like they judged you. Marcus swallowed hard. I'd like to meet him. He'd like that. He used to talk about you all the time when he was little. Uncle Marcus, who went to chase his dreams. You were his hero. The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. Hero. He was lying to everyone, testing them like lab rats. And this kid he'd never met considered him a hero. That night, lying in James's spare room on a mattress that sagged in the middle, Marcus questioned everything. Was this test cruel? Was it necessary? But then he remembered Richard's contempt, Tyler's exploitation, and he knew he needed to see this through. The next morning, Marcus walked downtown. Millbrook hadn't changed much. Same small shops, same quiet streets. And there, on Main Street, was Sarah's Diner, the faded sign exactly as he remembered. He pushed through the door, and a bell chimed. The smell of coffee and bacon grease transported him back 20 years. Sarah Morrison stood behind the counter, older but still with the same kind eyes and warm smile she'd had when they were kids. She looked up, and for a moment, didn't recognize him. Then her eyes went wide. Marcus Chen, is that really you? He slid onto a bar stool. Hey, Sarah. She came around the counter, wiping her hands on her apron. I heard you were some big shot out in California. Tech something or other. His rehearsed lies felt even heavier here. That didn't work out. I'm back for a while. Sarah studied his face, and Marcus had the uncomfortable feeling she could see right through him. She'd always been perceptive, even when they were kids running around Millbrook causing trouble. Coffee, she asked. Please. She poured him a cup, waving away his attempt to pay. First one's free for old friends. So what really brings you back, Marcus? He gave her the story. Lost investments. Warehouse job. Barely scraping by. He watched her face, waiting for judgment, for pity, for something. Instead, she just nodded. Life's funny that way. Up 1 minute, down the next. She refilled his cup. You know what, though? I don't care if you're broke or if you're Bill Gates. You're still the same Marcus who helped me study for algebra, who scared off Tommy Peterson when he wouldn't leave me alone. Success or failure doesn't change who a person is inside. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Thanks, Sarah. You need a job? What? She gestured around the empty diner. I could use someone in the kitchen. Dishwasher quit last week. It's not glamorous. $15 an hour, free meals during your shift. But it's honest work, and it's yours if you want it. He stared at her. She was offering him dignity, not charity. A job, not a handout. I don't know what to say. Say yes. Say no. But don't say you're not good enough for it, because that's garbage. She smiled. We all need help sometimes, Marcus. Accepting it doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. I'll think about it. Doors open when you're ready. She slid a plate of eggs and toast across the counter. And breakfast is on me. You look like you could use a good meal. Over the next few days, Marcus settled into a strange routine. He helped James at the auto shop, getting his hands dirty for the first time in years. He had dinner with Linda and her kids, watching her stretch every dollar to make ends meet. He avoided Tyler's increasingly aggressive calls about the opportunity, and he waited to meet Danny. The meeting happened on a Thursday afternoon in the park. Linda had arranged it, though Danny didn't know why. Marcus sat on a bench, watching a young man with shaggy hair and nervous energy approach. Uncle Marcus? Danny's voice cracked slightly. He was 21 but looked younger, with his mother's eyes and a hope that hadn't been beaten out of him yet. Danny, your mom's told me a lot about you. They shook hands, and Danny sat down, knee bouncing anxiously. Man, I can't believe you're really here. I used to tell everyone my uncle worked in Silicon Valley. Made everyone think you were like Steve Jobs or something. Marcus winced internally. Your mom says you're pursuing music. Danny's face fell. Yeah, everyone thinks I'm an idiot. Threw away a free ride at State to chase a pipe dream. Uncle Richard tells me every family dinner that I'm going to end up homeless. What do you think? Honestly, I'm terrified. I'm scared I made the biggest mistake of my life. But I'm also scared of becoming someone who never tried, you know? Someone who spent their whole life wondering what if. He looked at Marcus with raw honesty. Mom said you lost everything. That you're basically starting over. Does it ever get easier? The fear. Marcus had to look away. This kid was pouring his heart out, asking for real advice, and Marcus was lying to him. No, the fear doesn't go away. But sometimes doing the scary thing is the only way forward. That's what I think too. Danny pulled out his phone, nervous. Hey, I know this is probably weird, but can I show you something? He played a song he'd written. It was raw, rough around the edges, but there was something real in it. Genuine emotion, true talent buried under inexperience. That's really good, Danny. You think so? Everyone else says I should get a real job, that music is for kids. I think anyone who tells you to abandon your dreams has probably already abandoned theirs. Danny's eyes got bright. Thanks, Uncle Marcus. That means a lot coming from you. I know you're going through hard times right now, but you still followed your dream to California. You still tried. That takes guts. The conversation continued, easy and real. Danny talked about his music, his fears, his hopes. And then, just as they were about to part ways, Danny pulled out his wallet. Hey, Uncle Marcus, I want to give you something. Danny, no. Please. Just listen. He pulled out a worn envelope. This is everything I've saved from working at Target. $2,300. It's not much, but it's yours. Marcus stared at the envelope like it was a live bomb. I can't take your money. Yes, you can. You know what? Danny's voice shook. Because when I was 16 and everyone said I was stupid for wanting to do music, you sent me a message on Facebook. You probably don't even remember. You said, follow your heart, Danny. The world needs more people brave enough to chase their dreams. That message changed my life. It's the only reason I had the courage to drop out, to try this. Danny, I've been saving this money to record a demo. But you need it more than I do right now. You believed in me when no one else did. This is me believing in you. He pressed the envelope into Marcus's hands. Please, let me do this. Marcus looked down at the envelope, at this kid's entire savings, offered freely and without hesitation. His hands shook. The weight of his deception crashed down on him like a tidal wave. This wasn't just a test anymore. This was real. These were real people with real struggles, real kindness, real love. I can't take this, Marcus whispered. You can. You will. Because that's what family does. Danny hugged him quickly, awkwardly. I gotta get to work. But I'm glad you're home, Uncle Marcus. Really glad. Marcus sat on that bench for an hour after Danny left, staring at the envelope. Inside was every dollar this kid had saved, offered without hesitation to someone he thought was at rock bottom. The test was over. Marcus had his answer. But now he had to figure out what to do with it. That evening, he got the call. His mother had collapsed again. The ambulance was taking her to Millbrook General. Marcus drove there in his beat-up Civic, his heart pounding. The waiting room filled quickly. James and his family. Linda and her kids. Even Tyler showed up, though he spent most of his time on his phone, probably texting his downline about supplement sales. Uncle Richard arrived last, his face grim. This is the stress you caused, he said to Marcus. Coming back here, stirring everything up. She was fine before you showed up. That's enough, James said, but there was no heat in it. Everyone was too worried, too scared. The doctor came out after 2 hours. She's stable. The medication we adjusted is working better. But I want to keep her overnight for observation. The relief was palpable. Linda started crying. James hugged his wife. Tyler immediately left, muttering about an early morning meeting. But Uncle Richard wasn't done. Doctor, What's the prognosis long-term? She needs consistent treatment. The medications are expensive, and she'll need regular monitoring. I understand there are some financial constraints. Marcus watched Linda's face crumple, watched James's jaw tighten. His mother needed help. Real help. And his family couldn't afford to give it to her. We'll figure it out, Linda said, but her voice was hollow. Uncle Richard shook his head. This family is cursed. Nothing but problems and failures. Something inside Marcus snapped. Actually, Marcus said, standing up. There's something I need to tell all of you. Not now, Marcus, Richard said. We don't need your problems on top of everything else. Uncle Richard, please. Just listen. Marcus pulled out his phone with shaking hands. He pulled up a news article from 2 months ago. I haven't been honest with you. He handed the phone to James first. Watched his brother's eyes go wide as he read the headline. Chen Technologies goes public. Founder Marcus Chen now worth $8.2 billion. What is this? James whispered. It's the truth. I didn't lose everything. I built something. Chen Technologies. We develop mobile applications. The company went public in December. Marcus's voice was steady now. I came home pretending to be broke because I needed to know who you all really were. Before I made any decisions about my money, about my future, I needed to see my family without wealth clouding everything. Linda took the phone, her hands trembling. $8 billion? You're the Marcus Chen? The app guy? But you said you lost everything. I lied. And I'm sorry. But I needed to know. Marcus turned to face them all. I've seen what money does to families. How it destroys relationships, brings out the worst in people. I needed to see who you were when you thought I had nothing. Uncle Richard's face had gone purple. You lying piece of... Let him finish, James said quietly. Marcus continued. James, you offered me your home without hesitation. You didn't ask questions or expect anything in return. Linda, you have so little. You're working 2 jobs to support your kids, and you gave me $200 in bags of food. You offered me what you couldn't afford to give. His voice cracked. Sarah offered me a job, dignity, friendship. She didn't care about my bank account. He pulled out the envelope Danny had given him. And Danny, this kid who everyone calls a failure, who everyone says is throwing his life away, gave me his entire savings. $2,300. Everything he had. Because I once sent him a Facebook message telling him to follow his dreams. Linda was crying openly now. James looked stunned. Uncle Richard, you call me a deadbeat. Told me to leave. Said I was an embarrassment. Marcus's voice was hard. Tyler, you saw someone you thought was desperate and tried to exploit them. Tried to scam me into your pyramid scheme. Now wait just a minute, Tyler started. I'm not done. Marcus took a breath. I'm setting up a family trust. $50 million to start. James, your kid's college is paid for. Your house is paid off. There's a $2 million trust for your family. Linda, $3 million for you. Your house is paid off. Both kids' college, fully funded. You're going to quit one of those jobs and spend time with your children. Linda sobbed into her hands. Sarah gets $2 million to expand her diner. Turn it into the restaurant she always dreamed about. Danny gets $5 million. He's going to chase his music dream the right way, with the resources to do it properly. No more Target. No more scraping by. Mom gets a new house, medical bills covered for life, and $10 million so she never worries about money again. The waiting room was silent except for Linda's crying. Uncle Richard. Marcus's voice was ice. You get nothing. Well, not nothing. I'm donating $1 million in your name to a charity that helps struggling families. Maybe you'll learn something about compassion. Richard's mouth opened and closed like a fish. And Tyler, you get the $5,000 you tried to scam from me. Consider it an investment in learning that family isn't about exploitation. Tyler's face was white. Marcus, I didn't mean. Yes, you did. Now get out. Tyler left without another word. Uncle Richard followed, slamming the door behind him. In the silence that followed, James spoke first. Why? After we thought the worst of you for 15 years, why would you do this? Because you passed the test. All of you. Well, not all. Marcus smiled sadly. You showed me what real family means. It's not about blood. It's not about obligation. It's about showing up. It's about giving when you have nothing to give. It's about believing in people when they're at their lowest. Linda stood up and hugged him, still crying. I don't know what to say. Say you'll let me be part of this family again. Really part of it. James joined the hug. You never stopped being part of it, you idiot. A month later, Marcus stood in the recording studio he'd rented for Danny. His nephew was behind the glass, headphones on, pouring his heart into a song. Linda sat beside Marcus, watching her son with pride and tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "He would have made it anyway. He has the talent." "Maybe. But now he has the chance." James was at his kid's school, meeting with counselors about their college plans. Sarah was negotiating a lease on a second location for her diner. Rosa was in her new home, surrounded by the garden she'd already started planning. Marcus's phone buzzed. His assistant with another business emergency. But for once, it could wait. "Uncle Marcus?" Danny's voice came through the speaker. "Can you come in here? I want you to hear this part." Marcus smiled. "Be right there." As he stood up, Linda caught his arm. "You know what the real test was?" "What?" "Not whether we were good enough for your money. Whether your money could make you good enough for us." She smiled. "You passed." Marcus walked into the recording booth, and Danny played him the new song. It was called Coming Home, and it was about second chances, about family, about the courage to be vulnerable. It was raw and real and absolutely beautiful. Outside the studio window, Millbrook stretched out in the afternoon sun. The small town that had raised him, judged him, and ultimately welcomed him back. Marcus had traveled the world, built an empire, accumulated more wealth than he could spend in 10 lifetimes. But standing here, listening to his nephew's music, surrounded by family that loved him not for his billions, but for who he was, Marcus Chen finally understood what it meant to be truly rich. The test had revealed more than he'd expected. It hadn't just shown him who his family really was. It had shown him who he really was. And for the first time in 15 years, he was home. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories. Drop a comment below and tell us, what would you have done in Marcus's situation? Would you have tested your family or trusted them from the start? Your thoughts matter to us, so share them in the comments. And don't forget to share this video with someone who needs to hear this message about what truly matters in life. Thanks for watching, and remember, the richest people aren't those with the most money in their bank accounts, but those with the most love in their hearts.